What's up, guys? I'm EJ. I'm joined by Kendall, and thank you so much for checking out this edition of our virtual NBA Draft War Room. Today, we're going to be talking about the Orlando Magic. And Kendall, Orlando's a team that, to me, epitomizes the concept of NBA purgatory. They are a team where they did make the playoffs. They did win a game one against the number one seed in the Milwaukee Bucks last year. The previous year, they won number one. They won a game one against the Raptors, who ended up winning the NBA championship. Nonetheless, they lost the next four games, the so-called gentleman's sweep, and they're a team where their roster is good enough to make the playoffs, but because they don't have the star power or the firepower to really match with these top-notch teams, they're never going to be a team that could probably make a deep run in the postseason, and they're quite frankly just not bad enough to be drafting in the top 3 or 4 to get a potential blue chip prospect. So the Magic are kind of in a weird spot where when you're drafting right outside the lottery, it's about trying to hit on the diamonds in the rough rather. It's not that you can't do it, but it's just a lot to ask for your scouting department, and I'm curious to see what the Magic do because they kind of been spinning their wheels in the same position. It feels like for a little while now.
Yeah. I mean, the Magic, when you're in that situation of being in basketball purgatory, you have to be creative in terms of acquiring talent, and I think they definitely were creative when they went out and got Markelle Fultz from Philly in a deal that now we look at, and one of the most shrewd moves of the last 2 seasons was Orlando taking Fultz, who not necessarily a diamond in the rough because he was the number one pick in the draft, but at his all-time lowest value, and traded him for Jonathan Simmons, or got him for Jonathan Simmons. So that was an excellent trade, and now he looks like probably their best prospect on the roster currently. You like Evan Fournier, you like Nick Vucevic, you like Aaron Gordon, but none of those guys will look at a superstars, obviously. All kind of, I would say, very, very, very solid players. Vucevic probably the closest to all-star, but all those guys could start on conference finals teams. But the issue is that the guy that they have drafted when they have had those top 10 picks, Mo Bamba, looks like a decent prospect, but has, kind of come along kind of slowly right there in his last couple of seasons, first 2 seasons. And Jonathan Isaac, who's shown a lot of great things defensively, looks like an elite defensive prospect, but, obviously had his injury, devastating knee injury that he had during the bubble. So we don't know what the situation is with him, but I think the Magic are definitely in a weird spot, but when you're in this draft at 15, this isn't a great draft, so you feel like maybe there is an opportunity to trade up. So we'll discuss that in this video.
And when you talk about drafting at a place like 15, yes, there are teams like the Sixers and other teams that have really been able to get themselves out of the doldrums of the NBA by being able to draft top picks. The Cavaliers come to mind as well. But, when you look at teams that have also advanced and also have put together sustained organizations, you think about what Denver has done. You think about even the Brooklyn Nets. And you talk about kind of making something out of nothing. They're a team that didn't even have draft picks for a lot of years. And they found a way to get the right kind of pieces around, draft the right player here and there. What happens if they don't draft LeVert and Jared Allen? How does that, those are two miscellaneous picks that weren't, high draft picks. What if those guys weren't there, and how does everything shake out? So you can still build, obviously San Antonio been the master of, drafting outside the lottery and getting Hall of Fame kind of talent. So it's not like you can't do it, but the Magic have had a checkered draft history drafting high, let alone drafting where they have been the last 2 years, was kind of, again, in the middle of the road. And last year, their rookie didn't even play because he was out all year. So this is an interesting pick, and let's kind of talk about the Magic real quick. So picks number 15 and 45, as we said, they finished with a 33 and 40 record, being eliminated in the first round by the Bucks. Team needs, to me, you mentioned, or everyone knows they're a poor offensive team. So offensive outside shooting is particularly of interest to me. They were one of the bottom 3-point shooting teams in the NBA when it came to field goals made and 3-point field goals percentage. So outside shooting is going to be key. Besides Terrence Ross, they don't really have enough guys that can stretch the floor. Vucevic really was one of their best 3-point shooters, and he's a good shooter. It's not anything against him, but you got to have more guys who can space the floor than a guy who's also your best post threat. So So that was not necessarily the most ideal way to play offensive basketball last year. They also need shot creators again, besides Ross and Fournier, and those guys I think are above average shot creators. They don't have anyone else really. Markel Fultz, we know his issue in terms of where his jump shot is, but he has some ability. But shot creation is going to be key. And I think they're going to need depth at the four potentially as well. We know Aaron Gordon was on the trade block. I don't know what that means with Jonathan Isaac's injury. Isaac plays a lot of four as well. Will they still move Gordon? Either way, they don't got enough bodies at that position. And point guard is going to be something to look at too. I know you do have Fultz, but DJ Augustine is a free agent, and his services are likely to be sought after this offseason. Along with Augustine and free agency, you do have Evan Fournier, who has a player option. It's about $17 million. I can't imagine. Well, I can't say I can't imagine, but I think I lean towards he'll probably pick that up. But I guess you never really know with some of these things. They also have James Ennis, who's a player option free agent. His option I think is only at like $2 million, so he very well could opt out. You also have Melvin Frazier, who as well. Michael Carter Williams, Wesley Iwundo, Gary Clark. So Kendall, I'll start off this one in terms of targets for this Orlando Magic team. And to me, you talk about diamond in the rough. You talk about shot creator. And I know, again, you do have Markel Fultz. So you say, okay, do we need a point guard? Look, Markel Fultz is also going to be up for a contract soon. And to me, he's a good player and he has some potential. He's still very young. But with DJ Augustine potentially out the door, you're still going to need more guys that can find their own shot. You're going to still need more guys who can create. So if I'm the Magic at 15, I say why not take a flyer on Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony is not necessarily my favorite player in this draft. I think, to me, a lot of it is just because of the mystery behind him. I really don't think he was healthy at all at North Carolina. So I take a lot of what I saw from him with a great grain of salt. But if you call it like it is, he did not have a good year at North Carolina in the games he played. So now it's like, okay, well, I know what I saw from high school, and he looked like the best guard coming out of high school. And I saw some flashes of what I could see in terms of him being a dynamic scorer at that point guard position. I take a flyer and say, look, I'm going to say that he gets healthy, and with our development team, him being an elite player pretty much since he was 14, we can make him into the kind of player that we know he's capable of that maybe he didn't show at Carolina. 3-point shooting looks like could be a plus for him, though he's got to get more consistent. And again, the creation as well, and the guy who can just get his own buckets. We've seen with someone like Jamal Murray, who has shown the value of having a guard who can just, when all hits the fan, he can just find a way to score by any means necessary. Cole Anthony, to me, has smaller, obviously, but has some of that ability. So I'm gonna stay with Cole Anthony with this pick as my first target.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Cole Anthony. I like Cole Anthony. One of my favorite players in this draft. Um, an NFL scout told me recently that never scout a player when he's injured because you're not going to get a clear view of what that player is. And, I think Cole Anthony is the embodiment of that because obviously, yes, we look at Cole Anthony. He didn't have a great season in North Carolina, but, he started off pretty strong. Obviously the Notre Dame game, first game of the season, he was excellent. But as you could see, as the season went on, as he got closer to being shut down, his production diminished, and he didn't look right. So I agree. That's a guy that I would certainly look at. I'm not sure he'll be there. Obviously in our Celtics video, I already said that the Magic should look at drafting Cole Anthony. So we'll see whether or not he's available at that spot. But to me, look, I think when you're looking at the Magic, first, I want to talk about the option of trading up because I mentioned it, and I think that is one of the first things I would consider if I were the Orlando Magic. Because you mentioned at 15, they're at a spot where they don't necessarily. It's gonna be tough to get a talent that fits the mold that you're talking about. Cole Anthony is somebody that could be there and could fit that, but I'm not necessarily as high on drafting a point guard as you are, because I think Markel Fultz is the guy that needs the ball in his hands. And, I kind of feel like Cole Anthony does as well. So I kind of look at, well, can we get a wing or a four-man that could fit that mold and can help us? And I don't know if that's at 15. But I think if you can move up into that 9 through 12 range, I think a prospect that would fit excellent for this team is Devin Vassell. Now, I understand Devin Vassell is still a developing prospect in terms of his overall skill set, but I think given his length, not an elite athlete, but a solid athlete who shown the ability to shoot the basketball, he provides the floor spacing for Markel Fultz and the rest of that roster that you certainly would like to add. Um, he continues with the defensive principles that this franchise has started to grow in the last 3 or 4 years under Steve Clifford. Steve Clifford would love Devin Vassell. He'd play day one and would be a guy who could start day one for that team, especially with Jonathan Isaac being hurt. Obviously, a local guy at Florida State. He's somebody I would certainly look at if I were the Orlando Magic at 15. And you talked about, well, maybe not at 15 because I don't know if he'll be there, but you talked about Evan Fournier potentially being a free agent and certainly not being a long-term option there in Orlando. That's something that I would kind of test the waters with in terms of seeing if I can trade up to acquire Devin Vassell.
So the thing about Vassell, I see the fit with Orlando to some degree, but I just feel like he fits the profile of a lot of the guys they've been drafting for the last forever. like
Oh yeah, the run and jump guy.
Yeah, they've been drafting a lot of those guys. It started with the with Hemingway and Hennigan, sorry, and Rob Hennigan and his influence from OKC and him bringing that to Orlando and really emphasizing length and athleticism. And I think undervaluing skill. I'm not saying Vassell's not a skill player, but
right, that's the difference.
I guess my concern is I just wonder if he kind of gets lost in the shuffle with a lot of the other guys they have that also aren't necessarily the highest level offensive skill players, which they desperately need. We had a conversation off air about how non-offensive skill players don't necessarily always provide great value on teams that aren't good. I would add that they also don't add value on teams that are particularly poor offensively. Like their weaknesses get accentuated. And so when I look at Vassell, I say, okay, is this kind of a lack of an improvement area is clearly his ball handling to me. So, okay, him creating his own shot, I don't think it's happening a lot. He can definitely hit a spot up jump shot, so that will help him a great deal. But if really that's all we're getting from him besides just him running and jumping, as we always say, is that enough for him to really make a difference on a team that's already a really good defensive team? And that's where I kind of question that pick. To me, if you're moving up for that kind of wing player, I would prefer someone like Neesmith from Vanderbilt. I think that you give me a guy who can come in and shoot the lights out, someone who can get buckets. He also, to me, needs to work a lot on his handle, but he's such a insanely great shooter that he can create his own shot by moving around the ball. So I would lean more that direction if I'm going to move up for a 2-3 kind of player.
The concern is, I guess I'm also trying to fit the coach with the player. And I'm not sure if Aaron Nesmith can make an impact on a Steve Clifford coach team, as much as
the Magic were bottom 4 or 5 in 3-point shooting, but the Magic were bottom 4 and 5 3-point shooting. I mean, I love Steve Clifford. I think that he's an exceptional defensive coach. I think he's a really solid NBA coach. But I mean, if I'm the general manager, I'm saying you make this kid work because we can't score. Like at the end of the day, I know we're a great defensive team. I know we can kind of stay in games because of our defense, and then we kind of just hope that the game is close at the end and we find a way to manufacture some points. But as we've seen in the last 2 years, that's just not going to get it done in the postseason. I think find a way to make a guy who can come in and shoot fit on your team.
I agree that it'd be great to find a player like that in this draft. I don't know if there is a player like that in this draft at all. Even at the top of the draft, this isn't a great draft to find shot creation. And I agree, Cole Anthony might actually be one of the best guys in the draft to find that. But especially at the wing position. I mean, he said Aaron Nesmith is, he still has a lot of room to grow on the offensive end, with the ball in his hands. And then if you look higher in the draft, if you look at the top 5, 6. Do you look at Denny Avdia? That's gonna take a pretty penny to trade up to get him. Um, I like Denny Avdia, but
Well, that becomes a
that's not
problem
like
because when the higher that becomes a problem because the higher you go up, what's the draft capital that or the
that's
capital
insane.
period that the Magic have
You're
to
not in
get
the
up
range
that
to get
high?
Killian Hayes. You're not in the range to get
Right.
Denny Avdia. I think those are the two other guys that you look at and say, can we can we provide some offense and some guy that can kind of create his own shot? When you get past that, there aren't many guys in this draft at all. I thought about Josh Green from Arizona, who I think is a really good athlete, but he fits the exact mold that I
Right.
wouldn't want. He's a run and jump
Yeah.
specialist.
Exactly.
And
Another
Cassius
defender.
Stanley,
Right.
those guys would be Rob Hennigan, prototypes. Rob Hennigan would love those guys,
Yeah.
but
But Rob Hennigan's out of a job right now, so
yeah, Rob,
he's
Rob
out of a job for a reason. So they need to move in a different direction at some point.
yeah, I definitely agree. Skill would be something I would prioritize. Um, I guess another guy coming out of high school that had that reputation, Tyrese Maxey, you know, as a scorer, didn't
Yeah.
really. He showed it in bunches at Kentucky, but wasn't consistent. I don't think it was the best situation for him, which is similar to a lot of Kentucky guys. So, that's another guy that could maybe provide him
Yeah,
with
I
that.
mean, I had Maxi down as my number 2 guy. That's what I was going to talk about before we wrapped up here. I think Maxi, if Cole Anthony's off the board, he would be my second choice. Again, he is another guy who can create his own shot. His jump shot's a little inconsistent, but he has range. And to me, when you can shoot the ball with the range he can, that tells me that okay, we get a shot doctor in here to just get you to be more consistent. You'll make threes. So I think he can shoot it well enough once you work on the shot. I know he can beat anybody off the dribble. So I think that he fits well with what they need as well. Another guy who can come in, maybe he's coming off the bench, but is just a guy just looking to get buckets, and they just quite frankly need it. I thought Terrence Ross played really well for them this year, and I think he's played well for them really since he got there. He's kind of that guy. He's just a guy who comes off the bench and he's just looking for his shot, but he can't be the only guy. They can't have just one Terrence Ross. They got to get another 2 or 3 guys probably who can also be that kind of aggressive offensive player. I think Maxey
The,
fits the bill.
the Orlando Magic player development system doesn't make me excited about whoever they draft. I'll
I
just be
mean,
honest.
yeah. I mean, look. You know how I felt about Mo Bamba pre-draft. I thought that he was
And Jonathan Isaac.
an elite, and John Knight. You're right. They have 2 of my faves. They were guys, and I'm on record with John. I'm on record with both guys on this YouTube channel. I love both guys, and Isaac is what I thought he would be defensively. I still don't think they've unlocked him offensively completely, though he's turned into a good offensive player, or at least a passable offensive player. The Bomba thing, I don't understand. I don't understand how, and I'm not going to say it's all on just the Magic, and the player has to, he has to do something too. But I don't understand how a guy with his size, his length, his shot blocking, his potential shooting, you can't find a way to make that work. And you're playing guys who should be in the G League in playoff games like that over him. That to me, that is a failure of player development that should be unacceptable. So I get that concern. I do. Last thing on
The
this.
last factor I want to bring up with the Magic, real quick, is that I want to ask you, or I won't even ask you, but I'll just bring up, obviously we've seen a lot of rookies play well this year. Who was the Orlando Magic's rookie? A lot of people forget because he didn't play at all this season. But they reached last year to draft Chuma Okeke from Auburn, who had an ACL injury in the NCAA tournament and didn't play this season. He's going to be a rookie for them this year. Got him around the same spot, in that purgatory spot of 15, 16. He will provide them some of that offense, some of that floor spacing, some of that punch that I think they need if he's ready to play. Like if he's healthy and if he's a contributing guy as a rookie. I think a lot of people really like Chuma Okeke. A lot of people also felt they probably reached at 16, I believe he was, coming off a knee injury. But if healthy, could he be that? No one says he's not Michael Porter Jr. Wasn't that level of prospect, but could he be that guy that we kind of out of sight, out of mind, and then as a rookie really provides them some of that offensive punch? I mean, again, for me, like if you told me they had Okeke and Devin Vassell as rookies, I think that those are guys not superstar talents, but those guys are guys that can help in the rebuild of this Magic franchise, where they're the next pieces to help you get that guy, whether it be through trade or whether it be through drafting another guy or signing a free agent.
Yeah, no, I do think Okeke maybe Orlando's biggest X factor coming into this next season. I mean, we'll see what happens with the offseason. I think Markel Fultz will be an X factor for the rest of his career with whatever team he's playing on, because we know what he is capable of. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy who you would think in this NBA could be a terror, which is why he was drafted where he was, despite the injury, which I think surprised some people. But there's no denying his skill set, and
Yeah,
him as a small ball four man. I mean, he could be a terror, but
yeah,
it's a knee injury, so you just never know. These things seem to be trending towards guys can come back from these injuries now, so that's hopeful if you're Orlando. And we obviously new generation hope to see Okeke out on the floor and playing at a high level, because he was playing exceptional ball before he got hurt at Auburn. So I hope to see him play at that same level in the NBA. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. What do you guys think the Orlando Magic should do with these with this pick at 15? Should they trade up, as Kendall suggested? Do you think there's a guy at 15, whether it be Anthony, Maxey, or anyone else, that does fit this team well? Make sure you leave a comment in our comment section, and make sure you like this video, and of course subscribe to our channel, New Generation Media, where we're doing plenty of these videos for the rest of the pre-draft season. So that'll do it for now. For Kendall, I'm EJ. Take it easy, guys. Peace.